Finding Essential Comforts, Old Favorites and New Possibilities. I'm Rick from Thriving Now, and today I'm co-facilitating with Kathy from the Intimacy Dojo and Thriving Now. Hi, Kathy.
Hey, how are you doing?
Well, I needed comfort today. uh, yeah, baby crying, and so I'm looking forward to this subject because a lot of the work around emotional energy and comfort has to do with comfort foods, with shame, um, uh, you know, all of those things.
Deserving.
And
Yeah,
when deserving,
yeah.
do I deserve comfort? The core of safety. My intention is that we're going to put comforts in a slightly different concept, that we're going to look at comforts as an essential aspect of being an animal and being human, and that comforts offer a doorway to something very essential. And um, so, welcome. If you're here live, thank you so much for being someone who is showing up on this day to be with us. If you're watching the recording, thank you for um, caring enough about the energy of comfort, especially comfort in community, supporting one another in the idea that, oh, you mean comfort is essential? Um, I appreciate that you have taken us up on our invitation to join the circle. While we're on Zoom, it looks like we're these little squares. Hi, everyone. Um, for our energetic, I'd like us to just take a moment and imagine that our group is sitting in a circle. People are finding the chair or the floor or the standing or the moving, whatever it is that is the right comfortable place for you right now. And the reason we choose a circle is that the circle can expand and contract to maintain its integrity, um, that everyone has a place, that even though Kathy and I are facilitating today and we've done a lot of thinking and preparation, we're going to be sharing that there is a chat available. We welcome your wisdom, your insights, your questions at any time. If you're watching the replay, there's a comment section or reply section, and we invite the same thing from you to pause and share, because that's what this is about as we develop these real skills. So,
Yeah.
Kathy.
I love the idea of comfort and I love definitions. So, can I read the definition really quickly?
Mhm.
So, to comfort is to soothe in a time of affliction or distress, or to ease physically, to relieve. And I think that often in our society, there's this idea that we're either kind of I think often we're like, oh, things are bad, or we're in this high exalted, very high state where we're very energized. And I don't know that that's actually good for humans to have, like, we're either in the dumps or we're the gas pedals all the way to the floor and we're revving full speed. I think our systems actually need time. It's actually no, like, we need to recover, we need to rest and digest, and comfort is the way that we allow that. That's the quieter. It's not, comfort isn't rockets blaring and awards winning and necessarily and lots of loud noises. My neighbor is blowing the leaves, so sorry about the background noise. But I think the comfort, the quiet, when we let ourselves just sink into the moment, we're not high in adrenaline. That's often the things that make life worth living.
Mhm.
They give us the gas to keep taking the steps forward. And when we get deprived of that, life can feel very, very flat and dull. And yet, for many of us, we've never been taught the skills to kind of sink into the comfort and to allow the depth of the experiences that are there. I notice myself often just kind of skimming across the surface. I've done something to comfort myself, like got a warm blanket, but I'm kind of like, yeah, yeah, I'm warm. What am I going to do next? Versus, can I really be with this moment? Wow, I got up and did this thing for me. And my feet were cold and my legs were kind of feeling a little stiff. And I have this lovely warmth sinking in. And I actually do have an electric blanket that I keep near my desk because when I sit a lot, I get cold. So like it's soft. I can like pet it and I can turn it on and off. And can I really just be with the moment of that and let it into my cells and let myself be nourished by this experience? And I think we're just, as a society, we're not taught these skills. In fact, we're taught the opposite. You strive really hard to get to a place where we can have a reward. But then as soon as we hit the reward, we're like, did I do enough? Do I deserve this? What should I do next? Like we're scrambling ever. Rick was using the example before we talked, like if you had to do sit-ups all the time and you could never stop, that's kind of how we run our lives. We're not letting ourselves going, okay, that was great that I did the sit-ups. My abs feel nice. And now can I really just enjoy this like moment of a soft blanket or a sip of cool water or the fact that I see smiling, loving faces near me? Can I let that into my being? Can I let it myself slow down enough to nourish myself and my life?
Yeah. Thank you. Um, so I'm going to make an assertion. An assertion isn't necessarily the way it is or the way it is for everyone, but here's my assertion that and could you mute Kathy that noise outside is and maybe
Oh,
check your audio settings to see if your noise cancellation is up high enough. Um, so we know, as Kathy mentioned, biologically we operate in two primary modes: sympathetic and parasympathetic. The parasympathetic is the downshifted rest and digest. It's an opportunity for our body to consolidate, reconfigure, unwind, replenish, um, get things out. And as I watch a lot of animal shows on Disney Plus and Netflix and the like, and one of the things I've noticed is that even after an unsuccessful hunt, an animal will do something to bring some comfort to their body. Maybe they'll climb up in a tree and just kind of hang there. They're not fed. They failed once again. And but they do something. And if you watch what happens to their body when they go into that place of comfort, they shift modes. They've gone from hunter to the animal that is not needing to hunt right now. They're not trying. A part of their brain is probably aware that if a little tasty morsel walks right underneath of them, but for the most part, they're they're giving themselves what's called down regulation. So up regulation, you give yourself more energy. Down regulation, which we've often talked about as grounding. Grounding is one way, but discomfort, something that takes us and gives us something that feels to our body and mind like, oh, this is more comfortable than where I was a moment ago. That is a portal through which we can, but many times we interrupt it, but we can pass through to change our state of being. We can go from actively pursuing something through the portal of some comfort to, okay, I've just shifted my state of being. Maybe I'm more present. Maybe I'm less present. And I'm more like, okay, I'm checking out. I'm letting everything, all the sensors that were tracking things just kind of go. But that's my assertion is that if you have things that bring you comfort, that those are, that we all need them, I believe, as animals and humans. We need them, they're essential, and that they offer an opportunity to change our state of being to one that's what you would consider like rest and digest, unwind. Okay, so that's the assertion. And yeah, I'm drawn to ask in the chat with that in mind, is there something that you do or pause from doing or something that you eat or listen, any of the senses, something you look at, something you hear, something you smell, something you taste, something you touch, something, what what are your essential comforts? What are the things that it's it's daily, weekly, at least once a month that it's an essential comfort. We already have, a blanket, even one that's shaped like a pepperoni pizza, warm, delicious. And pizza is a lifelong favorite food. So having a blanket that combines that warmth and yeah, that would, yeah. Anyone else want to tap something into the chat?
A burrito blanket. Is my sound better, Rick?
Yeah, it's a little quiet.
Hmm. Well, if it's not better, I can switch different.
That that's an
Um,
improvement.
Great. Bergamot essential oil, hot cup of rooibos tea. Yeah, it's nice when there's things we can give to ourselves, go tos.
Mashed potatoes.
Oh, I love
Mm.
mashed potatoes.
Watching videos, meditations.
Yeah, I love a grilled cheese sandwich when I'm feeling really stressed. I guess the warmth and it reminds me of being a little kid. And I used to watch Goldie Hawn in Overboard when I get really stressed. I'd pull out that video. The new one isn't bad, but Goldie Hawn was a really good one.
And someone said it's pretty hard for me to comfort myself um, without outing you. I think you mentioned in another workshop cereal, um, like
And
uh,
we'll talk about having. We're going to talk some about how we don't sink into comforts and some things that might help with that.
oh, this is a dark chocolate covered peanut butter cup.
Hmm. Someone shared petting a cat, tea bath, hiding under the covers in the bed. Uh, Someone said, "I love fucking. I fucking love cereal. I do too." There's something very comforting. It's like Saturday mornings. I would get up and we put on the cartoons and like sit there with a big bowl of cereal. There's something anchored there. Hot water bottle, bath, cat purrs, journaling, mashed potatoes. That feeling after hard exercise when your muscles are fuzzy and tired.
And that's an example where when we exercise, we're upregulating.
Yeah,
And then that feeling
of the
of
down.
the comfort feeling of the fuzzy and tired, when we let it,
Yeah.
that's that sick. Oh, it was a hunt, or it was vigorous, and now I'm letting my body do its natural thing, which is to allow itself to feel kind of fuzzy, tired. Ah,
And you've had several requests to teleport chocolate to people.
mm-hmm.
Listening to Tara Branch podcast. Yeah, it's funny how you get voices like that. For Rick has a recording on spiritual healing that I got that it's 40-50 minutes. I would listen to that. I mean, I must have listened to it 100 times, and just hearing his voice, I'd be like, okay, I'm safe. So yeah, it's great when we and one of the nice things we can do is when we re-experience comfort from something over and over, we're actually creating neural pathways to allow that. So we're training ourselves. We can train ourselves good or we can train ourselves bad. And I know Rick has some really cool things to say about this, but what are we anchoring when we're comforting? If every time I sit at my desk and I put on this blanket, instead of like going, oh, isn't that nice that I did that to myself? I'm like, I should work really hard now. I might allow myself to get a little comfort from that blanket, but then I'm immediately going into like produce stress. So the neural pathway isn't cutting very deeply. It's not like I can just I'm really letting myself sink into it, even for a minute or two before I go into the next thing. Do you want to do some tapping on that, Rick?
I do, and I just want to amplify and kind of add to what you just said. So there's a difference in getting comfortable as a state of being. Like, are you comfortable or uncomfortable? That's sort of binary. What we're talking about here are things, comforts and actions that allow you to switch states and um, change your state of being. That does not necessarily mean that you don't have pain. So, and I think I'll give an example to that later. Um, I'd love to do a tapping here on opening up some curiosity around these things that we've shared. Like, what if I consciously was aware that when I'm doing when these comforts are active or here, that it's designed to help me shift gears, shift states of being. And I allowed that to happen and used it as a tool, as a skill. Like I'm skillfully using these comforts to calm my body into another state of being. Okay. Even though a part of me resists being comfortable.
Even though part of me resists being comfortable.
There is so much to do.
There is so much to do.
Always.
Always.
and com- and using comfort hasn't been well modeled for me.
And using comfort has not been well modeled for me,
Especially by myself sometimes.
especially by myself sometimes.
I'm starting to get curious.
I'm starting to get curious.
What would it be like
What would it be like
if I allowed these comforts to really change my state?
if I allowed these comforts to really change my state?
Top of the head. What if comforts are to change my state?
What if comforts are to change my state?
Eyebrow. To send a signal to my body and mind.
To send a signal to my body and mind.
Side of the eye. It's okay to change states.
It's okay to change states.
Under the eye. Whatever you need.
Whatever you need.
Yeah. If you need a yawn, it's okay. If you need a yawn, it's
Oh,
okay.
if you need a yawn, it's okay.
If you need a nap, it's okay.
If you need a nap, it's okay.
Um, if you need a meditation, it's okay.
If you need a meditation, that's okay.
If you need to rest your muscles, it's okay.
If you need to rest your muscles, that's okay.
Enough of that. If you need to wind down that amazing mind, it's okay.
If you need to wind down that amazing mind, that's okay.
Comforts are a portal.
Comforts are a portal. Can I piggyback on you, Rick?
Hmm.
Because I think that sometimes our survival brain is so used to being on. And again, our society is caffeinated, keep going, push, push, push. Our survival brain doesn't have a lot of practice. The muscle to relaxing is not strong. And so when we invite it to relax, it's like, oh, I'm not sure that's okay. So just like to do a little tapping for the survival brain, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Karate chop. Hey, survival brain.
Hey, survival brain.
Thanks for being on so much.
Thanks for being on so much.
You do take care of a lot.
You take care of a lot.
And I know that media helps you be aware of a lot of threats.
Ah, media helps my primitive brain be aware of so many threats.
But right here and right now,
But right here and right now,
it's okay to relax.
it's okay to relax.
Top of the head, let's just notice comfort for a moment.
Let's just notice comfort for a moment.
Eyebrow, what feels nice to our skin?
And what feels nice to our skin?
Side of the eye, what feels nice to our eyes?
What feels nice to our eyes?
Under the eye, is there something nice in our mouth?
Is there something nice in our mouth?
Under the nose, are things that are helping our muscles feel comfortable?
Are there things helping muscles feel comfortable?
Chin, smells that feel tasty.
Smells that feel tasty?
Collarbone, or sounds that are arriving that feel nice to our head and ears.
Sounds that are arriving feel good to our ears.
Under the arm, it's okay to really notice those feelings right now.
It's okay to really notice those feelings right now.
Top of the head, it's okay to relax and enjoy this comfort.
It's okay to relax and enjoy this comfort.
Take a nice deep breath.
Now, please feel free to share what came up for you. It helps Kathy and I to tune to what's alive. I'll say that for me, and this is one of the things I love about tapping. And if you're new to tapping, thrivingnow.com/tapping is a place you can get a free guide. We're not teaching tapping today, but you can repeat the words and follow the points that we're using best you can. Um, I'm in the middle of facilitating a workshop. Relax is not the downshift that I'm looking for. So, like in my mind, when you said relax, it would feel like, oh, that's too far of a down, like that's like really downshifting. But I could be like, oh, it's okay to downshift my body's tension. Oh, it's okay to relax, to relax. Hey, see, I just downshifted and now I can say relax again. Um, so this is it. Maybe it's just too subtle, but I believe in my experience over the last few weeks since we put this event on the calendar is that if I'm using a comfort like right now, Kathy just took a sip. If you have a sip, you're invited. Now, I let that water comfort comforted the dryness in my mouth, and I feel deeper than I did right before the water. Now, I perhaps could call that more relaxed. There's certainly less tension, but I feel like I I deepened into a kind of presence, which was is definitely a downshifted. I feel both softer and more present. Um, so I'm sharing this as we're having it, and yeah, people gonna sneer at anything like I get it. A lot of us were conditioned deeply by people who were fucked up. I mean, like as 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 inspirations for all kinds of confusion and lack of safety that was, the childhood. I and this is part of why these are real skills. They can be taught, they can be practiced. And if you're trying to go from feeling whatever level of vigilance you have down to a place of like chill, relax, that's a bridge often way too far. But if our mouth is feeling dry and we take a sip and we're aware that that was a comfort, I believe that sensation of down regulation is what a lot of us who've done the work and gotten there, we would call safety. Like, oh, I feel more safe. It's actually a less vigilant, and that's again part of why we're using comforts as a tool, um, not as a hammer, but as a portal through which we can get to a place where it's okay to have this comfort. It's okay to have this comfort.
And some of the things I'm hearing from the chat, I think, are really important to talk about because just someone shared that like sometimes the comfort was delivered, it wasn't very sincere, and also
Mhm.
that they might be fighting themselves and they're feeling angry at themselves. Having those fears or those angers there, they're legitimate feelings, and trying to pretend ourselves into comfort is just as phony as a parent that's like there that it's gonna be fine. So I think that one of the things I noticed when I've been going through a lot this last couple of years with things that add a lot of stress to my life, and I noticed when I want to get to comfort, I have to go through a layer of anxiety or stress or guilt or shame to get there. I've piled it on, or society's piled it on, and if I can be with the feelings that are in the way, I can get to comfort. But if I try to jump to comfort, I'm just bouncing off and I'm getting very frustrated. But being with those feelings on the surface can be very hard to be with them sometimes. And if we can just be, one thing I've found that for myself is if I can narrow it down, I'm going to be with it just for a short period of time, like just for the next few seconds, I'm going to be with this anger or this fear or this sense of insincerity. Or sometimes I'll just do it with a portion of my body. Like, I'm going to let my pinky feel this. It breaks it down and it makes it easier to digest. I watch people that get very anxious and they're not here and now. They're anxious about the whole world. They're anxious about what's happening in China and Africa and like yes, it's great to be aware, it's great to take action, but there's nothing we can do right this second about that. And comforting or allowing ourselves to renew gives us more energy. So if we can come here and now, just to the moment, and feel what we're feeling. I don't know if you want to, Rick. Do we want to do actual tapping? Like I think doing some tapping on anger at the survival brain and also on insincerity or on comfort would be really good. Should we ask if those people want to step forward, or do you want to just tap you and I?
Yeah, if one of those things are your topic and you'd like to do tapping, feel free to raise your hand. It's under reactions or under dot 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 if you're on a phone or pad. Um, Go
Great.
ahead, Kathy.
Hey, Margo.
Oh, sure, why not? I was trying to hide, but
I appreciate you stepping forward. This is hard work, and part of it is by being real and sharing. I think there's something incredibly healing about that. To speak up and say this is true for me. There is something that heals, and I appreciate your courage. Thank you. So I don't want to share anything. Can you just summarize a little bit? I don't. I want to make sure that you keep what's in the chat is kept confidential.
oh, I mean, if you shared any of it, it'd be fine. But I mean, to me, like a lot of times, if things just feel phony to me. I mean, my father fake cried for attention, and if he actually gave me any attention and any kind of pseudo comfort, he would do it in this really weird voice, like, "Oh, that's too bad. I feel so bad for you." Like that kind of where you're just like you're totally full of shit.
Yeah.
Like you just know even when you're 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was like any comfort that I got offered was phony.
Okay.
And so when other like I put in there like Tara Brock, it's like I know she's really kind and she has this soothing voice, but I listen to her and I go, "Yeah, you're just full of shit." Even though I know she's not. I know she's not, but I hear that and I'm like, I just
Great.
don't like if one of you guys talked to me like that, I could accept it because I know you and I know you well enough to know that you're not going to BS me.
Yeah.
But I tend to look for comfort from people, and if I'm giving it to myself, then it feels like it's somehow subpar.
Yeah. Well, part of it is we're not socialized as an entity. Like our society doesn't teach us to accept self care as a real thing. But also, I think that we're social beings. We really do want care from outside. It's very soothing to our survival brain. But since you had that conditioning where it's fake, and I think probably most of us, I don't know if people want to raise their. I've had definitely had situations where people I could tell it wasn't real, and it feels awful. When you think of your dad saying that to you, giving you fake comfort, what do you feel in your body?
Kind of nauseated.
Okay, and what thoughts do you have?
Said you're an asshole.
That's
It was just like I mean, it would sort of make me dissociate because you actually want comfort, but then what somebody's offering you is completely. I mean, he actually, very quick story, broke down at a funeral of someone he didn't know to get attention for himself. Like, just did this. That's how he would cry. So that's what I grew up with. Being emotional was that kind of where you're just like, oh, you're full of crap. And then even when somebody's sincere, it's like, are you sure you're sincere? Like, are you just, yeah,
yeah. Can we try doing some tap on this? Tapping it. Karate chop. Yo, dad,
dad,
you're an asshole,
you're a dead asshole.
and I hated the comfort you gave me.
Hated the fake comfort you gave me.
I could tell it wasn't aligned.
Tell it wasn't what? Aligned?
Aligned. I could tell it wasn't real.
Tell it wasn't real.
It's like I was hungry
I was starving.
and you gave me plastic pizza.
Gave me plastic pizza.
My body doesn't know what to do with this.
My body does not know what to do with this.
So I reject all comfort.
So I reject not all, but a lot of. Unless I've thoroughly vetted it,
Yeah.
I will reject it.
I'd like to be less particular about how I vet my comfort.
Like to be less particular about how I vet my comfort.
Eyebrow, I kind of assume people are like you until I know better.
Kind of assume people are like you until I know better.
And most people aren't quite as broken as you are, Dad.
Yeah, very few people are as messed up as you were.
You were starving in some way or another.
You were definitely starving in some way or another.
Under the nose, but it came out really strange.
Yeah, who knows, but it sure came out sideways.
Chin, and I didn't get the comfort I really needed.
I did not get the comfort I needed.
I do know the difference between good comfort and bad.
Do you know the difference between good comfort and bad?
And my survival brain's afraid to let some of that comfort in.
My survival brain's afraid to let that comfort in and let the suspicion go.
What would happen if I let the suspicion go?
What would happen if I let the suspicion go?
And what does your brain answer?
It just feels kind of not safe. It feels not safe.
Ready, top. Even though I feel like I wouldn't be safe
Even though I feel like I wouldn't be safe
if I let the suspicion go.
if I let the suspicion go.
What if I took a small bite
If I took a small bite,
and spit it out if it wasn't good?
spit it out if it wasn't good.
My body knows the difference.
My body knows the difference.
If I let it in,
If I let it in,
I can tell.
I can tell.
And I can just kick it back out.
And I can just kick it back out.
Does that feel true to you?
Yeah, like my dog, when she'd get a treat she didn't like, she'd just spit it out.
Just like my dog.
Just like my dog.
Eyebrow, I can let some comfort in,
I can let some comfort in.
and I can spit it out if it's the bad kind.
Yeah. But if you give me crap, I'll spit it out.
Under the eye, maybe I can allow more comfort in.
Maybe I can allow more comfort in.
And I can do it mindfully and with presence.
And I can do it mindfully and with presence.
And I don't have to do a giant bite to start with.
You don't have to take the whole thing to start with.
What if I let some of Tara Brandt's voice in?
If I let some of Tara Brock's voice in.
Yeah.
No.
My body says no, thank you.
Body says no, thank you.
Top of that, perfect.
That's perfect.
Now I can move on and try some other kinds of comfort.
I can try some other kinds of comfort.
Take a breath and just notice what's coming up.
It's kind of painful.
Yeah. Where are you noticing?
It hurts in my chest.
Okay. What is the pain? Is it grief?
Yeah, there's a lot of grief. Probably some anger, but lots of grief, and where you just feel like, I missed all this.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us did. Karate chop.
Yeah.
Even though I missed out on a lot of comfort that I really needed.
And though I missed out on a lot of comfort I really needed.
And I have grief in my heart.
And I have grief in my heart.
And some anger too.
And some anger too.
Why couldn't they give me the comfort I needed?
Why couldn't they give me the comfort I needed?
They didn't give me the comfort I needed.
They did not give me the comfort I needed.
And I can be here with that feeling.
And I can be here with that feeling.
And offer myself some comfort.
And offer myself some comfort.
And I can be here with everyone else.
And I can be here with everyone else.
And we can all comfort each other.
We can comfort each other.
Top of the head, a lot of us didn't get the comfort we needed.
Yeah, a lot of us did not get the comfort we needed, and that's why we're all here.
Eyebrow, it's so sad.
It's really sad.
Yeah, and I do feel angry.
I do feel angry.
Under the eye, but I'm in a circle full of people that are really genuine.
I do have a circle full of people that are really genuine.
Under the nose and very caring.
And very caring.
Chin, I can offer comfort and receive comfort at the same time.
I can offer and receive comfort at the same time.
Collarbone, and I can soothe all of those old wounds over time.
I can soothe all of those old wounds over time.
Under the arm, I did make it through.
I did make it through.
Top of the head, and I showed up for this workshop.
Showed up for this workshop and a lot of
Like,
other ones.
yeah, so I can learn how to do this really well.
I can learn how to do this really well.
Just take a nice deep breath.
You know, part of it is just like having somebody acknowledge it, because I actually have a lot of shame around needing comfort, because if you just get eternally rejected for every little time you reach out,
That's huge.
then it's just like, oh, I shouldn't even ask for that.
Yeah. That shame around wanting comfort, I think, can we do, Rick, do we have time to just do them around on that? Because I think that's really big. I have that too. Like
Yeah.
if I ask, I feel, yeah. Where are you feeling that shame in your body when you think about
It's in my chest. It's this tightness in my chest.
karate chop? I feel shame needing or wanting comfort.
I feel shame needing or wanting or asking for comfort.
How dare I?
How dare I do that?
They taught me that it was too much work,
They taught me it was too much work,
that I was a burden,
that I was a burden,
that I didn't deserve it,
that I didn't deserve it,
and that it wasn't safe.
and that I wasn't safe.
And I'm learning something new now.
And I'm learning something new now.
Top of the head, all the shame.
All this shame.
Eyebrow, comfort is not for me.
Comfort is not for me, it's for other people.
Side of the eye, I somehow didn't get on the comfort line.
I missed the comfort line when they were handing out comfort.
Under the eye, but what if I can get in that line now?
What if the line is still open?
Yeah, under the nose, part of me doubts this a lot.
Part of me doubts this a lot.
Chin, and I can send gentle, loving comfort to that part of me.
I can send gentle love and comfort to that part of me.
Collarbone, in the doses that part of me can handle.
Whatever doses that part of me can handle.
Under the arm, I feel shame.
I definitely feel shame.
Top of the head, but it's probably not my shame.
It's probably not my shame.
It's probably passed down from generations and I can send it back.
Someone else just dumped it on me and I can send it back to them.
Yeah, just notice what you're feeling.
Yeah, it's really nice just to be able to say all that and not have anybody go, what is she talking about?
We have
What's wrong with her?
Yeah, you're in a group that gets you. And I think this is layers. Like, probably this tapping is not going to peel it all off, but I do think even if we can let a little air in an area that's been sealed off with shame, it starts clearing. Something starts happening over time, change the trajectory. So I really appreciate you sharing what was coming up so authentically.
Thank you.
Yeah. How are you feeling right now?
A little better.
Okay. Well, I hope more clears as we go through this. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. Um, Thriving Now is a pretty advanced group with interpersonal comforts, the comfort that, we are born needing, and many times we're deprived of, and not only deprived of comfort, but had chronic unsafe conditions, whatever that means. There's a whole genre of things around self-care, and if self-care is a challenge or you have a sense of deserving around that, again, like I believe that tapping was one of the things that was a portal for comfort. These are natural comfort points. Like, if somebody gets a shock, their hand goes here to the collarbone points. Don't go to cover the throat. There's, like, oh, cover our eyes. We're touching our eyebrow point. It's like, oh gosh, what do I, we're these points, like, oh, I don't know. These are natural comfort points. You see the person with their hands under their armpit. The That's a closing off, but it most of the time people's hands land right on those under the arm points. They're natural comfort points. So whatever is coming up for us, we're being with it. That's the thing. The other part of tapping is we're being honest about it. We're sharing, as Margot reflected. We're speaking to it, and ideally, like I wouldn't tap in an environment where I thought I was going to get a lot of like criticism like
Yeah. What do you
that.
think? Yeah.
Um, it's why the circle and the container that Kathy and I hold is not for that. Um, I need to speak of my pain, my shame, my beliefs, and have them held, and tapping on these comfort points both internally and also when I feel other people doing it. It's like, oh, they're feeling echoes and waves of what I just shared in their own life, in their empathy with me. And what are they doing? Well, they're bringing comfort to themselves and the circle at the same time. It's a pretty profound portal for healing, because healing is not just being able to unwind and de-stress. Healing is an active process, as active as digestion is. I believe, maybe even more so. um, and so I just wanted to share that, the connection between the points, the comfort points that we tap on, and the group and the intrapersonal dynamic that happens. Um, yeah. Did you pick something up, Kathy?
Yeah, the talk about the deserving comfort can be really hard to deal with. Whether we just had never have it modeled as children, or we did something that we still feel deeply ashamed of. That maybe someone was hurt inadvertently, or someone else lost their lives, or something happened. Something dramatic happens. Often it can be like, how can we deserve comfort when this is existing in the world? And it can be hard to reconcile that. And I don't know if this helps or not, but one of the things I've been trying to do is learn that I can be with two different things at once. And I don't know if it'll make sense. So I can be with the fact that my body gets to need some comfort and care, and that something horrible happened. And the more I practice being present with both at the same time, I'm noticing a stability in my system. Like, it doesn't mean that bad thing didn't happen. It doesn't mean that I don't have grief, anger, rage, whatever about that thing happening. But it doesn't have to be all one or the other. It can actually, and often it starts off with the bad thing. It's like full screen. It's like edge to edge screen. I can't find any room for the comfort. But if I just keep trying and practicing with little things, like for 30 seconds, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to just try to notice the softness of this blanket for a moment. The first bite of food, I'm going to try to be present with. It slowly gives a little bit of space where I can be a human being that has needs and also be present with this huge, intense grief or this overwhelming anger or whatever that is. I don't know if that helps. This is when it's really big like that. Sometimes it helps. I mean, I'm glad that we're all together and we can support each other walking into something like that. And it does
But
take time.
yeah. So I, we humans have some really amazing superpowers compared to a lot of animals. Um, I think one of the things that we do that I don't sense that animals do in the same way is deprive us of an essential comfort that allows us to heal our grief, heal our wound, heal our heart, our losses. But humans do, and it's mentioned in the chat, like, this tragedy has happened, so I don't deserve to have comfort. Um, even though a part of me is convinced
Even though part of me is convinced
that I don't deserve comfort.
that I don't deserve comfort.
I'm open to the possibility that there's something really off in that,
I'm open to the possibility that there's something really off in that.
that I don't deserve air.
That I don't deserve air.
Well, that would kill me.
That would kill me.
I don't deserve water.
I don't deserve water.
That would kill me.
That would kill me.
I don't deserve food.
I don't deserve food.
That would kill me slower.
It would kill me slower.
I don't deserve comfort.
I don't deserve comfort.
What if that's the long drawn out death?
What if that's a long drawn out death?
What if comfort is essential for all animals,
What if comfort is essential for all animals?
for our healing,
For our healing,
eyebrow, for our restoration,
for our restoration,
side of the eye, for the energy to grieve,
for the energy to grieve?
under the eye? What if comfort is that portal I need?
What if comfort is that portal I need?
I don't deserve comfort?
I don't deserve comfort.
Chin. What if there's something really off with that?
What if there's something really off with that?
Alone, I do deserve water,
I do deserve water.
under the arm. And comfort is an essential for all
And
animals.
comfort is an essential for all animals.
Maybe I deserve comfort too.
Maybe I deserve comfort too. I noticed when you were doing that tapping, Rick, I had something happen that was pretty tragic in my life, and I noticed that I've processed it a lot, but there's still times when I'm feeling it intensely where I hold my breath because I
Mhm.
don't want it to have been true. And it's almost like if I hold my breath, I can make it not have happened. And I do wonder if we have a lot of grief and sadness and anger about something, if we hold our breath, so to speak, around comfort too. If we can somehow undo this thing by either holding our breath or withdrawing comfort from our system, like it's a way of like, no, I will not make that happen. I'll make it not have happened somehow almost. So I was just noticed that as you were going through that tapping, that the tendency to hold our breath and maybe deny comfort is a way of like not actually being with the feelings that we're having about the thing that happened. And sometimes that's a very effective way to get through. There are times when we cannot be with all those emotions at once. And whatever we have to do to kind of keep them down for a while is great. But if we do that for a lifetime, deprive ourselves of comfort and the actual feelings in our body, that's really, really stressful.
Mhm.
So,
So we're going to, this is a 90-minute on the clock workshop. You're welcome to, of course, to take care of yourself. And if you need to pause here and leave, but we're going to take a 7-minute, just little break. We're going to pause the recording. If you're listening to the replay, I invite you to pause here, take a break. It's an opportunity for you to do some things that might bring you some comfort, and allow your state of being to shift a little bit. See who you are and how you feel when you come back. See what's alive for you after something that brings you some comfort. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. Welcome back. If you'd like to share in the chat, if you did something that was a comfort, what state of being change, if any, did you notice? What state of being change did you notice? So of the two of these little that I have here, I ate one. And the state of being change was to really be internal. Like there's a quality of, I'm here with you now through a little dot on my computer screen. So I'm like connecting to the circle through little tiny squares of video and a dot, and the other twin of this gave me a very internal experience, and also a little reminder from my own body that they've come to understand that um, a healthy heart rate is not one where it's beep 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 beep, at the same exact rhythm. There is actually the measure of health is in heart rate variability. And so what my body just reminded me is that when we use something this was a little comfort. I'm right in the middle of a journey with my circle, my community, with Kathy, with each of you. Um, but by allowing a comfort and being really with the notion that it's going to change my state of being, it's a bit like heart rate variability for your whole biosphere, biosystem. It allows the chemicals to change, the mix to change, the your posture, your orientation, whatever is needed. It is in times of variability that we get reconfiguration for optimal um, rhythm, optimal strength, things like that. So eh, that was it for me. Someone ate some chips and drank some water.
Nice.
Did you have anything, Kathy, that you wanted to share?
Well, I don't. I've been. I got myself a. I love strawberry quartz, and I got a little strawberry quartz bracelet, and I've been letting myself put it on when I'm dealing with stressful things, and I'm definitely noted. Like, one of the things that when Rick suggested this topic was, I like expanding my comfort zones, like comforting zones, I guess. And I think we often have go tos that we're really used to. So, like, food growing up was like, eat this cookie, go away, kind of thing. So food became a really good comfort for me, but I'm trying to expand it. I want to have lots of different ways I can comfort myself that are appropriate for my needs. So I like that. I just thought it was fun. Then I went to Etsy and I got this a little rose quartz bracelet, and I leave it out near where I'm working. And if I notice I'm getting stressed, I just put it on and I allow myself to notice how it feels on my bracelet, my wrist, and just like, I don't normally wear jewelry, but it's like I'm trying to anchor a new comfort thing for me, and it's been really fun for me to kind of play with that. I don't know if that fits in with what you were asking, but that's what I've
Yeah.
been playing with.
Someone shared they picked up a guitar, was playing an arrangement that they're working on. Ah,
Yeah, like someone shared, it's a new awareness for me to think of comfort as an intentional way of being present and connected with yourself, and I think that's I think a lot of times we treat it as a random thing that comes to us or not. It's kind of like the universe or other people give it to us or don't. And I noticed someone the other day was comforting me about something that I didn't feel like I needed a lot of comfort around. And I felt really kind of touched, and it was nice. It wasn't overbearing, but it was like they were like really checking with me that I was okay. And I felt like, oh, this is really nice. But they were misjudging the amount of comfort I needed. And other times that same person has not given me as much. And it's kind of like I would often treat it as their judgment being right and my judgment being wrong versus what does my body actually need. So if they didn't give me as much comfort as I felt like I needed, or if I was more upset about something, I would feel like I was being dramatic. I didn't deserve more comfort. Versus there's a lot of comfort around me. I could call a different friend. I could do things for myself. I think we often are taught to think of comfort just drifts in and out, and maybe if we're lucky or we deserve it, it will stick to us or it will come to us. Versus, hey, Jean, I'm feeling like the need of comfort. Would you have time to talk today? Like that kind of thing could be very different. You know, we can be intentional and conscious. And I think
mm-hmm.
that's much more powerful than just kind of going, I'm sitting at home alone in my room and hoping someone notices I'm not out there with them, and offers some comfort when I need it. So, and that's me poking at me, not at anyone else.
Mm-hmm. So the subtitle here was, finding essential comforts, old favorites, and new possibilities. Um, Humans have to eat, so food as comfort is like that's a real easy one. It can often be fraught with all kinds of shames and noise and things. Um, but I would like us to consider some new possibilities. I think that if I want to fall out of my primitive brain and the habitual patterns that it kicks in, so for a lot of us, we go to these old favorites when we're in a certain state of being. and they become um, what I've noticed for a lot of people is that uh, they become a bit stale, meaning that the brain is used to, I'm stressed and I go do this and it brings me a little comfort, but that allows me to endure the stress. It's more of a coping mechanism than what I'm referring to as essential comfort. So one possibility is that we go through our senses. Um, someone someone put here, and of course we can have things that touch many of our different senses. But let's start with something that you could look at that would bring some comfort. And maybe you're just raising it in your consciousness, like, oh, when I look at this, and I do, it brings me comfort. Or it could be something where you're going to choose this as one of your menu options, your new possibilities. So um, an example might be something on your in your world that you could look at that that could bring you comfort. Um, there's I can't I'm not going to get up right this moment, but there's a little statue of the goddess that Kathy gave me many years ago. Now, I see it anytime I'm looking at the green thing, it's right above. Um, it's too far away to touch. I know what it feels like because I have held it, and um, it's smooth and it's beautifully done. It's got weight to it. But just looking at it, more like an outline because it's kind of in the shadows, the comfort can come from looking at it and allowing that association to kinship. Like if I'm allowing it to comfort me, I can notice what happens in my body by looking at it intentionally.
I think a lot of us feel that when we look at the when you send out emails with the picture of a deer at the bottom. I know I'm not the only one who scrolls to the bottom to look at the cute picture of a deer and the little caption and then goes up and reads the rest of the, like, there's a joy in that, so that we're allowing that to comfort us, and
Hmm.
we seek that.
So maybe if you like writing things down, great. If you don't, allow your inventory of potential comforts, something that's in your world, something that you might see on the way to work, um, that could allow you to have some comfort from that. And then hearing. Um, some people have talked about recorded meditations. If those are already on your list, then think about something else that might um, that you could hear that could bring you some comfort, something that you have some capacity to activate on your own. Some music. Um, for me, like something that has functioned this way as a comfort is just the A string on my guitar. Just boing. That's way off key, but like the A. um, and if I less listen to it and I allow that vibration to comfort me, it can help with a transition. And that's part of the state of being is if we use comforts to allow us to change our state, we get more and more skillful, really more and more skillful at changing our state of being as we go from one thing to the next.
And I do think it's important to know that this is, we want to have ways to comfort ourselves, but we're not looking for ways to push down or ignore other feelings. So it's not a, like, we're not using it as a drug to kind of numb us. someone shared that they had a photo that really touched them, but recently that person passed away, so it brings up grief. And there's times when we want to look at that grief and we might want to be with it so we can process it through. There's other times we might want to choose something else as a comfort around someone passing away, because we don't, I think when we get to choose to step in, but we know we have the muscles and the support to work through those feelings, that's when it's a very healthy comfort versus a kind of addictive, I need to use this to avoid feelings that I've never looked at. I think there's a difference between healthy, allowing ourselves to be in the moment, enjoying ourselves, and I've got to escape this feeling because I don't think I can handle it.
Yeah, both youthful, useful skills, um, and somewhat different in what we're referring to. Um, so smells, um, that you might actively choose that offer some comfort to you. And again, comfort is, by my definition, something that eases something. It could be attention, it could be like it brings you more, if you're more distracted, it can bring you more present.
Well, scents are very primal. They go right to our
Exactly.
survival brain. And I have a few essential oils that I'm not super into them, but I notice the more I use it with the conscious intention of comforting myself, the more quickly it can drop me into that comforted state. So every time I put it on, I'm like, this is to comfort myself, and I let myself be with the experience of being somewhat comforted. It anchors that and helps build that pathway. Um,
I used to go into the woods, and yeah, if there was an obvious smell, I would notice it. Um, Now on my morning walks, if I'm finding that it's time to change my state, let's say I'm kind of like still haven't dropped in, um, I might lean against a tree and just smell for what's there, or take a leaf, or just smell the breeze. It's a conscious smell, smelling what's there. And again, like if comfort is the portal that says it's okay to change state, our primitive brain, it's it's not, our primitive brain might sniff the air for threat, but wouldn't be like smelling the bark for how naturally delicious it would be, or the moss, or whatever. Um, I can still remember what my dog used to smell like, not when he rolled in something nasty, but or she'd rolled in something nasty, but um, like that comforting smell of my dog, I can still. And so we don't always have to have it available to us. It can be something that is memory that can be on our list of possibilities for comfort. Again, like if it makes you if all of a sudden now there's a big flood of emotions, I'm going to suggest finding some things that are already a little cleaner in terms of like the comfort that you can allow yourself to feel from
and
it.
it may help you when you're looking for these. Realize that a lot of these are going directly to our survival brain. They're the senses of our body, things that if a bear was chasing us, people were sharing cooking and baking smells. It's like if your bear is chasing you, you're not stopping to bake cookies, or lasagna or whatever that is. If you're not stopping to take a slow drink of water, you're not stopping to smell the bark on the tree, like Rick said. Things that help your brain, your survival brain, realize you're not in threat will add to the comfort and deepen that. So we're taking the time to notice those. So when you're looking for different things for comfort, it can be really great. It's great to have all the senses involved. The more of our senses we involve, the more I think it's like a holistic feeling. Our body drops in better, and there are people that are much more visual than auditory. I hate listening to podcasts. They just drive me nuts because I'm not just an auditory person. I want to see them. So like you get to choose what's right for you, but notice that the more of the senses you're bringing in, the options you can choose to help your brain realize that you are actually safe right now. There's not a danger in this moment. It doesn't mean that there's not something big you have to deal with tomorrow or China may have issues, but right this moment in the space you're in, you're safe. That will allow you to experience that. Lighting a candle is one of my favorite things.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Um, I love coffee. This is an iced, I call it an iced cappuccino, but of course it's not. It's a latte, um, with half and half maple syrup. Um, yeah. Now I will tell you that this is on my comfort list. It's an old favorite. If I turn to it for coping, this would have been gone before I got back to the office
gug, gug, gug.
from downstairs because it's for coping. If I'm using it for comfort, then even if I've taken a couple sips and I haven't really noticed it, if I if I smell, uh, I smell maple syrup. One of my favorites. And if I sip, now the intention was for comfort. And again, like I could feel my body down regulating. It's not, I wouldn't say that I'm um, what I call relaxed is a different state than being engaged with. But I'm engaged now with less tension. I definitely shifted to a whatever gear state of being that mindful comfort brought is good for me. It's good for my body. You you could argue all day long, oh, you shouldn't be drinking coffee at 5:60. No, that was perfect. I feel warm. I feel alive, and I didn't actually gulp the whole thing. There's more there. Um, I'm not feeling drawn to drink more of it right now, but it's there. And this is where, as emotional freedom coaches, Kathy and I, you know, a lot of times people think of emotional freedom as, not being really stressed or trauma triggered, and that's very true. Emotional freedom too is, can I have some savvy with my state of being, my energy system? Can I, like, go through that door, come back around the corner, use a smell, use a taste? Why? Well, it's empowering. I believe that our primitive brain gets the hang of this and starts feeling like actually we are more safe to feel things because we're actually developing some real savvy with being able to feel something, be with it. When the time comes, we can use so many different comforts. Like we have all of these things. I can just like I can just change my posture and I'm now in a different state of being. Um,
I really love that you role modeled with the coffee too, because I think that we're not shown that very much. And I love the difference between coping and comfort. I grew up where pasta was my like coping mechanism, but I would eat like half a
it's a
pound of
definitely
pasta.
a comfort food.
But I wasn't present with the eating.
Yeah.
I was just like, if I could get it in my system, I would feel heavy enough and kind of suppress the anxiety enough. My body couldn't be anxious because it was so full of pasta. Versus, can I really notice, like, I made this for myself and I'm taking a bite of it and I'm letting myself just be present with that. I think there's a lot more nourish. It's like it goes from survival to thriving, like
Yeah.
coping to comfort. And I love that we're modeling the sipping the coffee, that hopefully the next time you go to enjoy something, like maybe that will pop in your head and you'll be like, can I slow this down just a little bit? And all it needs is like five, you don't have to like go Like we don't have to be Zen monks on the top of a mountain. Though Rick has the shaved head going, so maybe he's close. But if
Orange is not my color.
no, that's true. But if we slow it down even 5%, we're just letting ourselves be a little more nourished by that. And I really do think it's like ground that's really. Have you ever seen ground that's so dry it's cracked?
Hmm.
And then when it rains, the water just runs off the surface. There's nothing to sink into. Versus if we start allowing some comfort into our system, the more I allow it, I think the easier I can be comforted. So it's kind of like if I've been deprived for a while or I've been really stressed, I have to sink through a level of anxiety. I have to actually I'll lay down and I'll be really anxious. And I've learned if I can just be with that, breathe with that feeling and not try to make it go away, I'll sink down through it. But to get to the place where I can comfort myself, I sometimes have to go through some resistance
Yeah.
because my system just hasn't. It's like, what's this relaxing thing again? I don't remember this. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's just our bodies get revved up, and it's like, oh, now I can relax.
Other fresh possibilities, thinking in terms of like, how do you touch yourself? I see one person, with their hands behind their head. Like that to me is one. Hello. Um, you know, that I used to do, but I'd never done this, like primitive brain and frontal lobe and like as soon as it was so comforting, I had to yawn. Um, I I did I didn't used to like put my hand over my heart except for the Pledge of Allegiance, which you know. Um, and so like if somebody's telling me something and I'm noticing that I'm becoming distracted, if I put my hand on my heart as comforting support for myself, I I notice I shift states of being. If if I apply a little pressure, which kind of helps the collarbones, which tend to rise up with anxiety. If I just like, oh, hey, little pressure, imagining my tongue deserves like resting in the hammock of my jaw, like, oh, you've had a big day, buddy. Little pina colada. Um, these are, and especially if you include your whole body. For for me, for example, there are times when just grabbing across my body in energy medicine, there's a lot of reasons for this, but taking your this is my left hand and holding my right ankle can feel like it
That
provides a comfort to my body and my energy field. Exploring those things, and I believe that part of the real skills, particularly if we're kind of coming up from having to have been more self-sufficient, um, that there's a relationship aspect when we do these things with ourselves, not even necessarily for ourselves, but it's a with. I'm doing this with my body, with my nose, with my mouth. When we do that, we're building up those relationship pathways. And so when somebody else offers comfort, we're more like we know where it flows in when it feels good because we've been doing that ourselves. Um, and you'll notice that, well, I haven't talked about like taking a day off and going to the spa, getting a 90-minute massage.
those are nice things.
Those are great, can be great big comforts. Um, we've we've been focusing on things that allow you to have portals that are at your fingertips. Tapping is tapping these comfort points, holding these comfort points, holding and breathing these comfort points, that's at your fingertips. I'm a big believer in that. It's helped me, you know, be very differently self-managed, and it makes it much more comfortable. If somebody else holds my heart, I know what that can feel like, and I'm much more open to it
Mhm.
than if it's just coming out of nowhere. You know, I've noticed that in my life over the last 30 years is that the more that I practice these things, when I get them from someone else in a consensual way, feels very, very different. And it's bonding in a good way.
Could I lead a quick tapping on
Yeah.
just noticing new ways to comfort ourselves and allowing that
Hmm.
in? Karate chop. Even though I'm not always really good at comforting myself,
Even though I'm not always really good at comforting myself,
and I don't always let other people's comforts in,
and I don't always let other people's comforts in,
all I have to do is be a little bit better than I used to be
all I have to do is be a little better than I used to be.
to make a
That
difference
could
in
be
my
comforting.
world.
To what?
To make a difference in my world.
To make a difference in my world.
Top of the head, I'm open to discovering new ways of comforting myself.
I'm open to discovering some new ways to comfort myself.
Eyebrow, I'm open to experiencing new ways of others comforting me.
I'm even open to ways other blah, ways that other people can comfort me.
Side of the eye, I haven't been noticing those as much.
I haven't been noticing those as much.
Under the eye, I always go to my tried and true.
I always go to my tried and true
Under the
old
nose,
favorites.
I invite my brain to notice new ways.
I invite my brain to notice new ways.
Chin, I invite my heart to explore and play with these new ways.
I invite my heart to explore and play with these new ways.
Collarbone, and I invite my being to open up to the comfort that's in these experiences.
And I open myself to the comfort that's in these experiences.
Under the arm, I don't have to do them forever and ever.
I do not have to do them forever and ever.
Top of the head, but I can try them on
I can try them on
and open up more to them.
and open up more to them.
And just take a deep breath and imagine, and to let your body imagine that it could absorb comfort in different ways at different times. You're not limited. Like I know when spaghetti was my one comfort, it was like if I was traveling, I was like, it was before the doors of DoorDash. I didn't know how to get my comfort. But now I know there's a lot of different ways I can do it. It gives me a lot of different ways. And I think it's really empowering to know that there's a lot of different ways we can take care of our system. Our survival brain starts going, yeah, I got this. I'm rocking it. And
Yeah, you are. You're rocking it. Thank you for joining us for this journey. Um,
all the
if
sharing.
if you'd like to continue this discussion, thrivingnow.center is our community center, and we're talking about the concept of comfort and other concepts, as well as um, continuing on the exploration of comforts that I believe that the group of us that have been together, that over the next week, I'm guessing you're going to notice something that helps you shift your state of being in a way that surprises you. And I invite you, if that's a yes, to share that. We are all about the shared wisdom and shared experiences. We're doing emotional exploration. And um, I appreciate you trying on this assertion of mine that comfort is an essential, that it offers a portal for us to change our state of being, to be part of the calming part of calm and confident. And if we get really practiced at being able to pick comforts that are healthful for us, nourishing for us, that activate our healing, our sense of being okay and safer, um, that skill carries out to other people too. That everyone that I believe that the way that I drink, if I'm allowing it to comfort me, whether I got to explain what I'm doing to all of you, but if I'm doing this, that my family will feel a shift. If I'm eating to cope, if I'm uh, doing in that state of being, that they feel that too, the people that I run into. So I appreciate you being part of bringing more permission and modeling of uh, that comfort is available to us so that we can integrate
Yeah, I think it
experience.
actually takes more courage sometimes to do these smaller self care things than it does to like fight off a lion. So thank you for your courage and your curiosity around this.
Mhm. Until next time, yeah, I look forward to our workshop that's right after. And for those of you in the United States that are celebrating Thanksgiving and anywhere in the world, gratitude to you for being a part of the Thriving Now community. Bye for now. Thank you, Kathy.
It was really fun. Thanks.